I've done it, guys. I've finally played Spec Ops: The Line.
Death toll.
Graphically, the game still looks good in my opinion. It has a very warm type of color tone which plays perfectly into the desert type setting on display here. You have the option to choose between 3 different filters, but I personally stuck to the original look of the game. The texture work is sharp, the character models look good, but I did feel like sometimes the sweat looked comedically juicy. The environments can look straight up beautiful at points. I was really surprised to see detail like footprints of this quality in a game this old. Performance is also great considering Spec Ops: The Line is like 10 years old at this point. There was one instance of crashing though, which is just unfortunate. I'm gonna talk about my favorite part of the game now, and that is the setting. Who knew post-apocalyptic Dubai could easily become one of my favorite video game worlds? Spec Ops: The Line has one of the best location/environment settings I've seen in any game ever. When James Franco was asked how good the setting in this game is, he had this to say. From down on the street level to super high skyscrapers, even though this is a linear shooter, its scale feels massive. I also love how this game incorporates more visual variety through gorgeous indoor areas like this. The level of detail poured into each place is remarkable. Every environment tells a story and feels like it was populated, actually lived in, before all the apocalyptic shit went down. I'll talk about that more in the story section of this video. But the bottom line is, this is a wasteland crafted so close to perfection, it's ridiculous. The gameplay in Spec Ops: The Line is pretty much your standard cover shooter stuff. It isn't anything special, but what it does good.
Title your sex tape. Too soon?
I wasn't feeling it too much at the start, but I started liking it after spending some time with it because it gets better the more it goes on. The kills have satisfying effects and animations, especially when you use guns like the Deagle where you see heads explode like it's the boys or some shit. I also really like how this game differentiates weapons while blind firing. Like a shotgun in this situation feels completely different than using an automatic. The game feel of weapons overall is just good, man. Shredding enemies with turrets never gets old. The weapon variety is also really damn good, and that is because it has purpose. There is a good amount of them, but what's really good is that they do a nice job of differentiating from each other. You got stuff like LMGs, rifles, SMGs, which I like the most because they are really good to use even when not aiming down sight. Many weapons have alternate modes as well, like single or auto fire, zoom magnification, or suppressor for stealth situations. I constantly found myself switching between these before and after entering fights, which means they have an incentive, unlike Sims that e-girls make a quick buck off of. Seriously boys, if I was a big jug female creator, I guarantee that by now I would have had at least 100k subscribers on this damn platform.
It became personal with me.
The game does a good job of spicing things up with new weapons, like one minute you're sniping dudes from a distance, the other you're blowing them up with RPGs. The gameplay situations here are almost always interesting. The sound effects from guns add to the impact really well. They have a sense of oomph to them. But what's better is the music during the action. It is really good in my opinion. The songs really add to that feeling of testosterone-fueled action that big boys like me love. It also reminded me of the first Last of Us at some somber points, which is great. Level design is also simple but effective, with stuff like breakable cover points making you focus on switching positions as well. The environments play an important role in the gameplay as well a lot of the times. Sometime into the game, enemies start making you move more and think more by doing stuff like throwing grenades more often. There are destructible objects like windows which pour in sand when broken. Other than using these to create ways for you to progress,
Form up on me. Let's move.
you can use them in fights to get a serious advantage over the enemies. Someone's on top, shoot the glass and make him fall and stun the enemies on the ground level in the process as well. Or just straight up bury the out of your enemies. Not to mention that it always looks awesome. When you throw grenades in a place with sand, they create mini dust clouds as well. Also, you can stick the sticky grenades on enemies as well. There are sandstorms which lead to more tense gameplay situations where you and your enemies have reduced visibility, so you're in for surprises just like I was with your mother. I really enjoyed that feeling of intensity these sandstorm fights have. Not to mention shit like this can also happen. Another thing that is epic is the set pieces, and I feel like they're really well paced here. Sometimes you have the option of letting your allies distract the enemies while you move in from a different position to flank them, which can make you feel like a complete badass when done right. And while we're on the topic of allies, let's talk more about them now. You have the option to give them orders to focus on enemies, which is useful, even more so when you're taking a bit of a stealthy approach in areas. Damn, that was cool. Other than that, you can order them to heal each other if one of them goes down. That sounds really sus. Their AI is fine most of the times, like they do feel useful, but sometimes it feels like these motherfuckers have a single brain cell, that too shared between the both of them. They'd be rushing in headfirst naked into a fucking war zone. I died a decent amount of times trying to save him, which is stupid. That brings me to more problems with the gameplay. Firstly, sometimes it feels like you've been glued to a surface like it's a fucking Fevicol ad. It feels like you're struggling to get out of cover, which makes the game too cover shootery in my opinion sometimes, which I don't like. Initially, I also felt that the controls are a little weird. Oh shit, I forgot Q's not for cover. I did get used to them, but one thing that still bothers me is that this game uses the space key for a lot of shit. But the biggest problem with Spec Ops The Line in my opinion is that it struggles with the difficulty balancing. This part of the video is on the basis of the hard difficulty. If you're playing on a lower difficulty, you probably won't have as much of a problem with this part. There are times when the game goes from challenging and fun to just unfair at points, which isn't helped by the fact that the checkpoints at these places are also terrible sometimes. There were times where I was wondering if these were moments where I was supposed to die like a scripted death, but turns out it's just the game being stupid and soft gatekeeping you because you were running and gunning instead of pussy playing, aka exploiting cover before entering the area. Most enemy variety is good, but enemies like this big chungus guy are straight up bullet sponges and just not fun to fight. Oh, did I hear you say fun to fight? No, I said not fun to Here, fight him in a situation that looks like it's a bug, but it's not, and the even bigger challenge is trying not to have an epileptic seizure. Now coming to the multiplayer, there's not much to talk about. Yep, just wish that you find games on your server. By the way, if you're enjoying this video till now, please be sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. It's pretty clear to me and most of my subscribers that at this point, YouTube pretty much hates me. So yeah, you can help in changing that. Let's move on to the best thing about Spec Ops The Line, the thing it's most known for, its story. It's hard to talk about the plot of this game without giving away spoilers, so to keep this review spoiler free, I'm gonna keep this very brief. 6 months prior to the events of this game, the worst series of dust storms recorded in history began across Dubai. Colonel John Conrad, who is the commander of the damned 33rd Battalion, was returning home with his unit from Afghanistan when the storm struck. So Conrad volunteered with his group to help the relief efforts. As the communication systems failed because of the storms, nothing was heard from the 33rd until 2 weeks before the events of the game when a mysterious looped radio signal penetrated the wall.
Colonel John Conrad, United States Army.
Therefore, the United States military decides to send in a 3-man team consisting of Captain Walker, Lieutenant Adams, and Sergeant Lugo to carry out reconnaissance. The game begins with Walker, aka the character you play as, and Adams and Lugo flying in a helicopter past the skyscrapers of Dubai. You're shooting down several pursuing helicopters until a sudden sandstorm forms, causing one of the pursuers to spin out of control and crash into the trio. So then they're forced to traverse the storm wall through the outskirts of a mostly buried Dubai on foot. As their journey progresses, the team finds evidence of what had happened in Dubai over the preceding months. But everything is not as it seems, and there are much deeper revelations to be made about what really went down in this tourist spot turned wasteland. When this game started, I was like, God, this game is gonna be a standard roided up third-person shooter that plays it safe to appeal to the fantasies of Mountain Dew chugging, Dorito munching, obese basement globs. But thank goodness, I am so happy that I was so utterly wrong. This tale evolves into something that has so many layers and something that is truly special. The direction is amazing, the writing is smart, the performances from literally everyone is top notch. There is not a single instance of bad dialogue delivery. Everyone brings their A game, especially my man, and I've mentioned this before, my favorite video game actor of all time, Nolan North. This might just be one of my favorite performances of him just because of how subtly brilliant it is.
I look stupid to you?
No. That's why you're gonna point that pistol somewhere else.
The 3 main characters play off of each other so well that when there is a conflict among the team itself, it feels like it has meaning and weight behind it. Even during the gameplay, you feel like the characters are trying their best to avoid conflict with the survivors. The environments are designed in a way that they tell a story, whether it be disturbing or somber representations of what has happened in this hellhole. Like even the collectible audio logs are interesting most of the times. Spec Ops never pulls any punches in getting its point across, and I gotta respect that, man. There are truly horrifying depictions here which I won't spoil, but they feel like they would have been toned down in other games. And unlike some piece of shit that absolutely deserves the hate it gets, the disturbing moments are not here for some cheap shock value. They are here for a purpose and have actual build up to them. Everything down to the main menu is drenched into the story's tone. This is a game that makes you think. It makes you question ideologies. While other games brush off the loss of life as a, hey, good job, Spec Ops confronts you with the effects and consequences your actions have. Is lesser evil a viable option? What the fuck do you do in a situation where it feels like every choice you make is morally fucked? These are the type of thoughts this game provokes. And the ending? Chef's kiss. It is very rare that a story's conclusion feels like it's the epitome of everything that has built up to it. When the credits rolled, I just sat there in complete silence. That right there is when I realized that maybe me being so late to the Spec Ops party is for a reason. That being emotional maturity. It's been a long time since a game's story has left as much of an impact on me as Spec Ops: The Line. So in conclusion, even with some gameplay choices that kind of feel dated at times, Spec Ops: The Line still deserves all the praise and the recognition it has. This is a story I personally believe every gamer should experience at least once. At the hard difficulty, I was able to beat the game in around 6.5 hours, which is short but definitely a quality experience for the vast majority of its runtime. And considering that I got the game on PC on sale for rupees 299 or $3.90, it is 100% well worth it. So thank you all so much for watching this video till the end. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and also hit the bell notification icon so that you may never miss out on any future content. Some of my other videos are on your screen right now, including my latest track, Flip the Script, which is streaming on all platforms. Consider checking them out as well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.